Hi, it's Becca and my friend Cassie.
Hi.
Welcome, Cassie. I'm so happy you
Welcome.
joined me.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Today, for Hey Miss Becca, we have a really, I think, important question that was sent to me by the parent of a teen. And I think I'll just read it to you. It really kind of hit home for me because I have kids this age that I am worried about. And we know a lot of kids just like this.
Oh, yeah.
At our clinic here. So the question is, I have a 15-year-old ASC, SPD, PDA, ARFID child in second burnout, underweight due to overloaded sensory system, fears around everything. They're not able to participate in hygiene activities, can't leave their bedroom, can't leave the house. There's a lot of barriers around change or uncertainty, and they seem to be stuck in a very anxious state. The parent says, I have no demands. This helps, but how can I gently connect and help them with this overthinking and overwhelm and downregulate their nervous system so they can feel safe enough to make progress?
Yeah, absolutely.
First of all, I feel like the question is so thoughtfully asked.
Yes, I agree.
This parent has done their research. This parent is working really hard. And so I really want to give them some support in this area.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know why I asked you to help me with this one, right?
So because it always comes back to the fear states and towards the body and like the sensory piece.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know what this parent is talking about with nervous system burnout, I just kind of wanted to give a background on the burnout state. And then I want to ask you, Cassie, about what your thoughts are regarding kind of retraining the nervous system back to a state of safety.
Absolutely.
So what we're talking about is a state where a normal nervous system, its job is to keep you safe and to keep you in a state of homeostasis, right? So if there's something that's a threat, your autonomic nervous system will shift into, what we call fight or flight. And that's a temporary state that gives you some extra energy to do things like get away, or some extra energy to do something like fight a threat, right? But during those times, other less necessary functions are kind of turned off. And that's okay when it's temporary. And your body knows how to get back to baseline, get back to that rest and digest state. What happens when a person is repeatedly stressed, repeatedly threatened, and their nervous system gets stuck in that state of fight or flight, you're burning through all of your resources.
No gas left in the tank.
There's nothing left in the tank for anything. And when this happens, you can really start to appear like you've reverted back to almost infancy. You have a hard time even attending to something. You have a hard time remembering something. You have a hard time initiating anything. And this makes sense if you're under constant threat and you have no energy for coping.
Absolutely.
What do you do when your nervous system is in a totally dysregulated, permanently stuck state?
Absolutely. And one thing we talk a lot about here and with our clients and our families is that, a stress brain or a fearful brain is not a smart brain. Right. When we are in those states, we're in that downstairs brain where it's just about safety. It's just about, can I fight, flight, freeze, like get away, impress the danger, get
survival.
That's survival. So you don't have access to that problem solving, creativity, planning, organization, all of those really important skills that also make you you. And so when you're in that constant state, like it's hard for you to be your wonderful, amazing self when you're just completely shut down. So when I hear that, my number one thing is how can we get even that door cracked and get back into that upstairs brain and get back to feeling safe and engaged and, just connected with your body and with yourself.
Right.
My first thought right off the bat is going with that sensory piece. So like this parent's already doing, decreasing demands, but also focusing on those things that tell your sensory system and your nervous system there is not a danger around me. There is not a big scary lion. There is not that threat that is imminent. It is safe to turn those brain functions back on.
So we know as OTs, like the sensory input that has an impact on the nervous system, right? So we know that things like deep pressure have an immediate impact on the nervous system. But how frustrating to maybe be a parent that doesn't have that foundation of knowledge.
What do I do with sensory? Let's go jump in the hallway.
What does that mean? Right.
So when we're thinking of those tools and those sensory tools, we're looking for the things that conflict with a fear state. So we don't want the things that are like jumping, climbing, spinning, all of those things that would be very activated when we're in a fear state. We want the things like the slow, rhythmic, deep pressure, those systems that are not as kind of highly activated when we're in a fear state. So I love like a good sensory routine, but I love things that have a lot of just like rhythm and pacing there. So like music that feels very calming and like routine, lighting that is very kind of calming and like low intensity, you know, that deep pressure that's consistent, like a weighted blanket.
Have you ever read The Happiest Baby on the Block?
I have not.
Oh, okay. So you don't really need to, but it makes me think, I read it when I was having kids. There's some important things in that book of how to impact your baby's nervous system. And it's all those things that we naturally do with a baby. We swaddle them for that deep pressure. We rock them for that rhythmic motion. We shush them for that white noise that's organizing input for the brain. Shh, shh, shh. And if we think about a person's nervous system that's in shutdown or that's in burnout as being like a newborn's dysregulated, unorganized nervous system, then all those things you just said
they just
make
come naturally.
Sense, right?
Well, and I think even more important than like eliminating or removing demands, it is removing that urgency. Urgency and like threat and fear go right hand in hand. The moment that we start getting urgent, there's something to be urgent about. There's something to run away from. There's something to escape. There's something imminent. Versus, you know, if we can approach things very calmly and slow and just basically bring down the speed of everything, our language, our activities, our like intentions and goals, all of those things, that can also tell the brain, oh, it is safe to be slow.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And sometimes when we're trying to help our kids or comfort them, we're doing a lot of talking to them, right? Are you okay? What do you need? How can I help? Do this thing. And maybe that's not compatible with returning to a state of safety.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to look at some of the things that you wrote for strategies so that we can make sure that people listening have a couple of like solid things that they can do right away. Absolutely. So we kind of organized this into 4 stages of recovery from nervous system burnout because you can't expect to recover back to baseline immediately.
No,
right?
it's not a slow process.
Right. It's not a quick fix. It's like, you know, we said rebuilding a house made out of Legos. If you smash the house down, it's not going to go right back together. You have to meticulously put those bricks back in. So the first step or the first phase is restoring that felt safety that you were talking about. And some of the strategies that we can do during that phase include things like creating a womb space. And that's a space that a child or a teen or a young adult can access on their own. There's no barriers to accessing it. And it provides what you were talking about, that deep pressure. So maybe a weighted blanket or a Lycra body sock, low lights, controlled noise environment. Maybe something like a lava lamp for that soothing kind of input. So this is a space that feels like a womb, right? It's cozy, it's protected, nobody's allowed in there.
Yeah.
Right? Another thing that parents can do during this stage that we talked about is really bolstering the visuals and the predictability.
Yes.
Right.
It's relying on those other skills. You know, if you don't have access to all of that kind of like frontal lobe, all of that like smart brain, using those visuals, using that predictability, it takes some of that additional processing and additional work off the person.
Right. And then a third one, which I think we forget to do sometimes, is just offer co-regulation
Yes.
through a shared presence.
Mm-hmm.
This can be a no demands situation, and a way to just let somebody know that they're not alone and they are safe in your presence.
That's one of my favorite things to do here is, like there's all of these amazing strategies, but I think one of the most powerful things you can do is just be with somebody. You're not trying to fix their problem. You're not trying to solve anything. You're just sitting with them and being with them and basically sharing some of your calm.
Oh, share your calm. What do you say? Chaos and calm?
I'm not sure where you're going.
Chaos spreads, calm is intentional.
Oh, yes,
something
yes,
like that. Okay.
Yes,
Yep.
Chaos spreads immediately. Calm has to be intentional and structured.
Amazing. And then once you kind of are past that emergency stage where you're stuck in that danger mode, we're going to start rebuilding, right?
Yeah.
And I love that. Okay, so Cassie's expertise is really going to come in handy here.
This is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. This is good. Interoception. Okay. We have to relearn how to trust our body and our body's signals.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of times people want to jump from skipping over body and going straight to the emotion. But how do I know what it feels like to be sad, upset, uncomfortable if I don't know what that feels like in my body? I know what someone else has told me. Sad is when I cry. Sad is when someone takes my toy. But I don't know what that feels like to exist in my body. Some people, they get really like itchy or hot when they're upset. Some people get really angry, or they might uncontrollably laugh or sob. It's not cookie cutter for any one person. And so you need that body piece before you can even begin to think about processing the emotional piece.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important for that emotion identification. But also I'm thinking about, in the case of this parent's question, how do we get back to even tending to basic needs like eating and taking care of basic hygiene, right? A lot of that has to do with rebuilding that connection between your mind and your body.
Absolutely.
And really understanding your body cues. So that part is so important. That would be phase 2. That reconnecting the body and the brain piece. You can enter phase 3 sort of after phase 2 or concurrently. And phase 3 is really all about rebuilding trust. That's trust in yourself, trust in the environment, trust in the people around you.
Absolutely.
And reconnecting on a meaningful level. So what does that piece look like?
I think, you're already doing a huge part of that if you're starting with that co-regulation piece, being present with somebody and having them know, I'm here with you and I'm not asking anything from you. I'm not asking you to give me anything in return. I think goes so far in that process. But then even going further, it's, how do we share time and space again? How do we do something like enjoyable or, kind of low intensity together? Can we like parallel play while like, you're doing like a coloring book or like an activity or something and I'm like there along with you, or we're reading side by side, or, you're able to share about your special interests completely uninhibited. That I think is such a powerful thing. I've had kids where you can tell there's so many times throughout their day, especially at school, they're not given the chance to share that most important part of themselves. And you can just see the stress come down out of their body when they're able to just say, this is what I'm excited about. And I need to just tell you uninterrupted with no, like we're using this
judgment.
for something, no judgment, no expectations around it.
Right. And part of that, like building that trust with, let's say, a caregiver, I think is the responsiveness piece too, right?
Absolutely.
So something the caregiver can do or the parent can do during this phase is really try and anticipate the needs, right, of their child and try to be a consistent provider.
Yes.
Right. So if you know that your child is always going to request a weighted blanket at a certain time of day, go ahead and bring it to them because you know they're going to request it.
Or I think like, anticipating that, someone's going to be hungry in this transition, having a couple of snacks prepared where it's just that you're visually present in the environment rather than, do you want a snack? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Having those things just built in, it gives that kind of reciprocal part of like, I am recognizing your needs, but it also doesn't put so much additional effort on the person to anticipate their own needs in that moment.
It makes me think of a newborn again,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like if a newborn cries, they need to know that their caregiver is going to come and fulfill a need that they have, right? So it's kind of parallel.
It's, you know,
we're just raising babies or 15-year-olds, you know? And then kind of the last piece of this recovery, phase 4, is really when you're going to regain your autonomy and your ability to really trust, you know, that that you can have an impact, that you can control a situation, that you have a voice. Right?
Absolutely. Well, and even beyond all of that, you know, being stuck and being unable to like access those things you want and need to do, it can also become habitual. Like on one side of it, it's, you know, I can't access those parts in the brain that I need, but also it becomes habit of I cannot do this thing. And so I need to reestablish that routine and that access in order to do that. You know, they say that depression, while also chemical and complex and huge, is also can be habitual.
Right. So there's relearning along the whole way. So this is something that we do with our clients here.
Yes.
Many of our clients come to us in a state of burnout. Unfortunately, frequently it's due to school-related stress and trauma.
Yes.
We're not very good, and I'm saying we as in the general society, at always recognizing those things that are sources of stress, anxiety, and trauma for our neurodivergent kids.
Absolutely.
In the school system. So unfortunately, this is more frequent than we would like, but we are definitely making strides to educate people and to make a difference for these kids and their nervous systems, because our ultimate goal is that everybody feels safe, connected, and able to function in the ways that they want to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm going to invite people, if they have more questions about this, to get in touch with us. You can always email contact@thelarkcenter.com if you have any questions, or if you have a related question that you would like us to talk more about on Ask Miss Becca. You can visit our website and drop your question in the Ask Miss Becca tab, and we'd be happy to discuss your specifics.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been absolutely delightful. I love talking about all this stuff, even though it is very just heavy, complicated.
There's a lot to unpack here.
There's
we could
so
talk
much
for hours.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.